Anyone who knows me can tell you if you spend any length of time with me, you're going to hear me use one phrase. So I've got this crazy idea, which means creative, innovative, maybe a little off, but that's me and that's how my brain works. And I'm always coming up with new crazy ideas of things that we need or should try. And yesterday, I came up with one of those crazy ideas. And if you are a non-Indigenous Canadian or a non-Indigenous person from anywhere, and you probably for your work uh, go into First Nation communities, and maybe you're nervous about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing or accidentally disrespecting someone, because that can happen, or disrespecting the community or the event or whatever it is. I have a crazy idea that might help, and I'd be really interested to hear if you think it would be helpful. So let's talk about it. Bonjour. Mishko Paganon, Quain Adishnakas Mangdodem. Hi everyone. My name is Sandy Boucher. I'm Red Thunderbolt Woman of the Loon Clan, a proud member of Seine River First Nation in Treaty 3 territory in Northern Ontario. And just to give you a little bit of context, where this crazy idea came from is actually a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine. And through her career and her work, she was given the opportunity to travel to a northern, more remote First Nation community. It's actually, she's a teacher, and a lot of her students come from that area. So she had never been there. She had someone from that community that was willing to take her and show her what life is like. And so she went, and she's on that trip right now. Now, this woman has the biggest heart and has tried so hard to learn how to work respectfully with Indigenous peoples. She also understands it's an ongoing journey. It's a learning journey that she's never going to know all the aspects. Her humility is bang on and beautiful. So before the trip, because I know her and I know how important it is to her to be respectful, but to appreciate the community, I also know she's a very outgoing, friendly type person. I gave her some advice on just the cultural differences that she may interact with, discuss the power imbalance between Indigenous and non-Indigenous in Canada, just discussed how some things look through Indigenous eyes so she could understand the reaction she may get if she does this, or that. It was an amazing discussion. She was so open to hearing. She asked respectful questions. It was beautiful. And then she went off on her trip. And she has stayed in contact with me via text. And at different times, I've been able to give her a little tidbit of advice here, there, and whatever, just to help her get the most amazing knowledge and exposure thanks to this trip. I want her to enjoy everything Creator shares with her, but also want to give her some guidance, knowing she's coming from a totally different cultural background than the people in that community. And that is where my crazy idea was born, because she represents a large group of people, whether it's business people, whether it's student placements, whether it's government officials from the province or the federal government, or even municipalities entering a First Nation community. often they go in there. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say always with the best of intentions. They don't go in there with the intent to be disrespectful, but many of them on one side minimize the cultural difference and make that huge mistake that because we're all within Canadian borders, it's going to be the same everywhere, which is such a white centered mentality. It's ridiculous, wrong. And the other people are terrified that they don't want to say anything or do anything because they're so afraid of being disrespectful, which I don't want anyone terrified either. But in that group, often to try to alleviate their fear, they'll start making jokes. And that's where the disrespect so often happens. Not because they intended to. Remember, intent is not required to cause harm, but it happens. So here's what I was thinking, because this little conversation me and my friend are having seems to be working so incredibly well. She doesn't need me standing next to her holding her hand. She actually has a guide in the community. But because we've known each other for so long and I know her so well, I can add in these little tidbits. So what if there was a website you could go to and you typed in which First Nation community you're going to be visiting. And through the website, it connected you with a human being that lives in that community, a member of that community. And you had their cell phone number. And you were able to text and ask questions, everything from where is the band office, where is the community hall, to I was offered tobacco, a tobacco tie, they called it. I'm not even sure what this means or what I should do with it. Proper protocols for an event or meeting, or what did it mean when I said this and the room went quiet? Why do you think that happened? No judgment, no guilt, just someone to be able to answer your questions. Would that be beneficial? If you could get your own Indigenous community guide to help you on those visits. Now, for anyone out there who is thinking that is something I would do, wrong answer. Humility teaching. Remember, one of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking every First Nation community is the same. I don't want anyone asking me for advice on how to behave in a First Nation community in BC that I have never visited, or one out on the East Coast. That makes no sense. But if you had a portal that connected you with an authentic person in the community, wouldn't that be amazing? Because you would get the knowledge you need to bring your fear down and be able to just reassure you and limit the chances of you accidentally being disrespectful. And of course, there would be a fee involved in this, and the person on call on the other side of the text line, once you make connection with them, they would be on call until you leave the community and they would get paid for their services. So you get the support you need. They get a little extra money coming into the community to help support their family. And on top of that, the Indigenous guides that would be your text companions actually are going to receive validation, like I was talking about yesterday, for the knowledge they already have. This is not something they have to study up on. This is something that they know because they live there. And if there's one thing my girlfriend definitely pointed out, it's the nuances. It's the little things where you're at risk of disrespecting someone, that what you would think is respectful in Canadian culture may not be in Indigenous culture. And if you're trying to build a bridge in this community or get your work done without causing harm, it's important how they interpret your actions. This is back-to-back teachings to the nines, giving you the support you need and honoring the person that has the knowledge to share with you. So there's like more than 640 First Nation communities in Canada. and every single one of them is different. And depending on their cultural background, if they're Cree or Haudenosaunee or Dene or Coast Salish or Mi'kmaq, whatever it is, the teachings are totally, completely different. So, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Is that a service you would use if you were going into a community? Getting to know your little text buddy? What do you think? I think it could work. Little bit of coordinating could make for a whole lot of amazing conversations. I don't know. It's just a crazy idea. What do you think? Until tomorrow, I love you. Take care. Bye bye.